Today is Thanksgiving, and there was a gathering that I was invited to with my community here, and there's nothing in me that wants to go. And there's nothing in me that feels guilty either. And that's the huge gift of going through the deconditioning process and clearing out that open emotional center and all the hard work that's happened. And so for the last 10 years, I've been in this crazy Pluto transit, a dark night of the soul. And today is a final pass of Pluto opposite Mars. And there's just all these insights and just this incredible gratitude for everything that's happened, and the sense of freedom and aliveness and appreciation for life. There's nothing like it. And so, yeah, I'm just like in this celebration. Even though, my body's a little tired, I'm still in this transit. Things are a little bit rough with my partner and I. As I start to stand in my power and follow and honor my authority more and more, it's making him do his work more and more. But there's nothing in me that's afraid of anything bad happening. It's just all playing, and life is just going to get better and better. So this video is actually just my insights and showing you the transits, the astrology transits, the Pluto. Pretty much when I found human design about 10 years ago, 9-10 years ago, I also fell into non-duality, and I also discovered evolutionary astrology. So human design is a beautiful map to point us to the possibility of how our vehicle will be moved, the highest possibility, when we are all deconditioned. So it points to the openness in us where the conditioning is and what kind of patterns that will play out, what kind of thought patterns will play out to show us that conditioning. And it's a map, just like evolutionary astrology is a map that works mainly with Pluto and the nodal axis to show us our soul's intention for coming in here. We all came in with a deep purpose of receiving the karmic patterns that we've been carrying. It's actually a possibility. It's not everyone is going to be driven to freedom, to be able to have the courage and tenacity and intention to go all the way in this process. But whatever work we do, it's helping for the next lifetime. What helped me get through this time was the perception that, we've been in this stuck pattern of separation as a humanity, causing all kinds of pain towards each other and in ourselves. And if it takes 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years to go into this, this difficult burning process and free the karma, it's not going to be wasted. That time is not wasted. And it's going to, even if we don't fully liberate in this lifetime and know, who we are through and through, it's going to carry on to the next lifetime. The greatest service that's possible in a human life is to receive the karma that we came here to receive. And if there's a message that wants to come through at this moment, the message is the pivotal point for myself in my journey. When we're taken into like chronic illness and the darkness kind of folds in on us, in a Pluto transit. So one of the things is I'm going to make a video about how to find Pluto in your chart and the Pluto transit that you may be going through. Because if it's really hard for you right now, and it's been like that for a while, the chances are really good that you're going through a Pluto transit. And knowing that, and it kind of brings this sense of like, oh, okay, here's what's going on, and there's a purpose to it. And I'm gonna make a video, so I'm gonna post a link in the info box above and below. So the pivotal lesson is to learn how to receive. This process of deconditioning is not about the me getting what it wants. It's the opposite. When we have a heartfelt intention to be liberated from the dream, to see that it's a dream, to know that we are the stillness and the beauty and the love that's watching the dream unfold. And at the same time, we are the aliveness of the energy of the dream. With this heartfelt intention, it's going to get hard. It's going to get challenging before it gets better. So it's like this willingness to really know and learn how to receive the intensity of burning. And to switch the mentality from I'm a victim and I'm being taken into this, I'm a victim and life is against me, to the pivot of this is happening for me, for my freedom. And I don't know, what is it in a person that actually gives them the, each soul is here for a different level of work. So, but if you're watching this video, you're interested in freedom. So, coming to this place of deep surrender, coming into the stillness and having a stillness practice, being the witness, anchoring in truth, listening to Muji, Devaji, Adyashanti, Gangaji, finding a teacher that's speaking from reality, and then being in the frequency of that. This resting in this place is what, at first it seems very like the mind is like saying, this is boring. There's nothing here for me. Why would I sit still like this? And that's because there's so many layers of conditioning that are keeping our perception away from the truth of who we are. So staying and keeping with this practice, at first it feels like effort because it seems like there's nothing there for us in the stillness, but that's where all the beauty is. That's where all the gems on this journey are. Anchoring into that more and more. The mind doesn't like it. That's what stirs everything up. When you stop and you stop following the mind's demands, that's what causes this process to really start to unravel. And then the beloved presents everything in the play, in a kind way, in a way that's like you burn and then you can expand a little bit and have a breath, and then you go into burning more. And it's this very benevolent yet incredibly intense, challenging process of unraveling our karma. And yeah, I would wager to guess if you're going through a difficult time, it's extended amount of time, you're in a Pluto transit, because Pluto is what brings up the conditioning in the biggest way. It's the most powerful magnetic pull inward. It's like, feels like all the walls are kind of closing in on you, and there's more and more willingness to stop looking outside, stop looking for entertainment outside, stop giving our power over, in learning to go within and to feel ourselves, to feel all the pain. Because when we really stop and we really want to know what's true, who am I really, it's going to bring up everything. It's going to bring up everything buried. So I'm probably speaking to people who already know about this process, and this is just me speaking from my 10-year journey, 6'2", splenic manifestor, been up on my roof, going through this process. I'm almost to my Uranus opposition, and my throat chakra is opening. I'm getting ready to share. And here's like this video. So this is taking you through my Pluto transit with my Mars, which is a huge piece in my incarnation cross in my chart of the 4 primary gifts in our chart are the Sun, Earth on both sides. And this gate 21 is like, I'm seeing, more clearly than ever that following this authority and being, it's not about control, because really it's about the inner compass to thy will. Because when I'm in alignment with this truth that's coming through me, it's not me trying to be in control, even though it can appear that way to others, that I am making a decision that's hurting others or that's affecting others in a negative way. And that's the test. That's the turbine for myself, 21 gate in the Earth, personality Earth. It's the turbine that's going to continue to test me, that when I'm following the divine will, the authority, Mars in the 12th house, tuned into the mother and the mother's will, which is moving everything anyway. So just aligning with what's true, then there's going to be conflict. There's going to be upheaval, and it's like clearing out this emotional center and being willing to receive the energy of that. So what I'm getting better at. Okay, so here you go. It's pretty, geeky, and it's like this synthesis of human design, astrology, and like I've been tracking, the astrology mostly, but I also studied my own chart and human design like intensely for the first 3 years that I found it. So just, it's like this, just the synthesis coming forth, and it feels really cool to just see all the connections. Even though the true work happens in the letting go of knowing anything. So it's an interesting little paradox. And yet I'm here, 3rd house energy, speaking about reality and awakening and truth, coming more into that North Node destiny. So I hope it's helpful, and check out the video that I'm going to make about how to find your Pluto and your nodes in your chart. Okay, much love. It's kind of as I'm in this transit right now with Pluto opposing my natal Mars for the 3rd time exact today, 21/19. This is the 3rd and final pass of this transit. Pluto transit is very heavy, and it's, it's the energy of diving into the shadow and to reveal the truth, to feel the energy of the karmic conflict that created the sense of separation. And in the languaging of evolutionary astrology, it would be this Mars right here is called a skipped step, because it's squaring my south node, north node axis, evolutionary axis. And a skipped step is where our soul has been in a repeating cyclical karmic pattern for many lifetimes, and not able to progress forward because there's this getting stuck in the area that is indicated by this skip step. And in this case, it's Mars in Cancer in the 12th house. And after the 3rd, so this is the 3rd pass of it, and I'm seeing, I'm having the same feelings come up of, I would call it anger, frustration. Yeah, it's anger. It's the manifestor anger. around not having my needs seen, felt, and met. And feeling like I'm responsible for others' feelings, and that I need to sacrifice my desires for the good of the family, for the good of the tribe. So this flavor has been playing out for lifetimes, and right now this karmic axis is being activated. So the last few days, and if you look at this Pluto movement, I've been in a Pluto dark night of the soul for the past 10 years, because as soon as Pluto hit 5 degrees Capricorn, it started opposing my Jupiter, and so I was questioning everything. That's when I found human design, and I got rid of every other possible belief system and philosophy, and realized I had no idea what the fuck was going on. And the only people that were making sense were Ra Uru and the human design system. And soon after that, Adi Ashanti. So I moved to Kauai when I learned about human design, to climb up on my roof, to start questioning everything, to start feeling the disillusionment with the life I was living and the society and the external world around me, and how I was so incredibly lost and abandoned from myself. And then Pluto moved on and squared all of this stuff, which is Sun, North Node, Pluto, Mercury, and in my human design chart, that's all right here. So my Sun and my Pluto are in Gate 48, and Gate 48 is all about diving to the depths of the well. It's finding inner resources that we didn't know we had, through, I would say, a surrender and discovery process, through the willingness to dive into the depths of the darkness of the well and let go of everything known, let go of control, and just Pluto just dragged me into the dark night of the soul, where everything felt lost, everything felt it didn't feel comfortable. It's been like all is lost, kind of deep, deep, deep despair and abandonment from God. And the health crash, as soon as this well, I would say when I discovered human design, as soon as Pluto started opposing this Jupiter, my health went down the drain, and I just got this incredible chronic fatigue. And so then Pluto squared all that, and so it's like I never had a break. I mean, there was hardly any break of that Pluto pull, the underworld pull. And then now it's been opposing this Mars, and so it's kind of the final kick. It's the final huge purge, I would say, before I continue on to my North Node destiny of speaking and talking about truth and being more in relationship in the world, where I'm in relationships and speaking my truth in my power. Today, Mars, Pluto is in Gate 61 of insights and occult knowledge, and kind of like this feeling that I have right now of getting a download, of seeing all these connections in my chart. And it's opposing this natal Mars, like I showed here, in Gate 62. And 62 is in detriment in my chart. It's in detriment. It's the gate of details. And now that I see the connection that this Mars is in Cancer, so there's a very important message, and this learning how to be a graceful manifestor that's here to be in control, but not in the controlling, chaotic way of the past, which it was before. It felt like, earlier in my life and up until this point, it's like as soon as this conflict is felt with someone and I can feel they have opposing beliefs than me, there's been like all this fear and this powerlessness to speak my truth without feeling like everything was going to fall apart. So I would just leave the situation. So I would just, I've left a lot of relationships because just an inability to speak what I'm feeling, and to even know what I'm feeling. I mean, to clear out this open emotional center, it's taken a long, long time. And the key to feeling my splenic authority has been to fall in this deep surrender and willingness to feel everything. And in that process, it's like I've learned what my truth is, what my authority feels like. Because with this skip step, and Jupiter too here, which is gurus, father figures, authorities outside myself. So there's just been this lifetimes and lifetimes, and most recent lifetime, of giving my power over to gurus, of asking, listening to outside authority to follow, to be, a sheep. And, there's been this quest for freedom, this quest for, liberation, I would say, lifetimes in monasteries on the quest, and maybe also being the guru that was like, it's either my way or the highway. Yeah, I mean, with this like 4521, that can be ruthless, and it's been ruthless. It's been like, either you fucking listen to me and what I want, or I'm gonna banish you, or I'm gonna hang you, or, if you don't believe in what I believe, Jupiter, screw you, you're dead. And then on the reverse of that, me, one past life I've remembered as being a healer in the Dark Ages, and being caught and put in a dungeon to be shown an example of, for everybody to, that anti-witchcraft, that I was called a witch, I was thrown in a dungeon, and I died there. So it was like this extreme powerlessness. And look at that. Mars is at 21 degrees in my natal chart, and now I'm like, whoa, 21 is my Earth, personality Earth, and the personality Earth in our chart is where we're here to be tested, where, the play will continue to play itself out, the program, to test us to stay grounded in the quality that's what your personality Earth is. And in my case, it's 21-6. It's the gate of control, but in the 6th line, it's kind of like, I only take control when it's absolutely necessary. Or that's how it's felt. Okay, so 21 is called biting through. The justified and necessary use of power in overcoming deliberate and persistent interference. Wow. And gate 21, line 6 is called chaos, where ineffective action leads to disorder. This is so perfect, and it perfectly corresponds to my South Node, and that gate 21 are conjunct. South node in the gate of shock. So shocking others so that I control them. And in my and in my astrology chart, that South node is conjunct Eris, which is the planet of chaos and discord. So yeah, so there has been a lot of lifetimes of acting in a way as a manifestor that just causes chaos. Wow. Where the material direction is chaotic, the ego will withdraw and use its power to find an inner order. And that has been the last 10 years. With the Pluto squaring, all of this stuff has been withdrawing inside on my roof, going deeper and deeper inside to get to the bottom of all this shit. Get to the bottom, clear out all the karma and get to the bottom of truth. What's reality? What's real? That's my whole mission, is to just live in the truth of reality, which is the witness and the watcher and the love from where everything is arising from. Being freed from the dream of separation, of being freed from the Maya, to just be the passenger and enjoy the ride. That's been the whole mission. So anyways, here's that gate 21, line 6. So South Node here is pretty much conjunct my personality Earth, which is part of my, the 4 primary gifts. So it's about learning how to be in control without causing chaos, without doing it through a place of anger and needing to be in control. Because there's been such destruction in the past around controlling from a place of my way or the highway. So the life's deep lesson, the test that's going to keep testing me, is about how to speak and include others in a graceful way, where I'm informing them of where I'm at, how I feel, and now there's can be much clearer understanding of how I feel. And it's like so simple to just express, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling frustrated, I'm feeling overwhelmed, and this is what I need. In this gate 62, expressing what I need in detail, in like getting into learning more, as this Mars is in detriment. It's like this deep investigative lifetime learning process of learning how to express details of how I feel. What I am feeling is now this spleen is so much stronger, so there's a much greater ability to feel the movement. And as we can continue, or as we long for awakening, or are willing to take this path of deconditioning, the play will test us. It will test us where we're here to be the strongest. And these tests that have come along with this transit, Pluto opposite Mars, which is squaring this nodal axis, it's a resolution. So the first major event, I would say, I flew out to visit my partner and where his parents lived, and to fix up the bus so that we could travel and bring it back across the country, because they were over in the east side of, over near Toronto. So we had to bring it back to California. And it was Easter, and he has a big family, and his mother had this planned to make a big meal for this annual event of feeding people, and I was exhausted. So, the gift of the chronic fatigue is definitely, it's a huge gift, because it's helped me come into, this place of feeling what's true for me and honoring it. I mean, if the chronic fatigue didn't slow me down, I'd still be a condition generator, doing things out of guilt and feeling like I have to and I should, and this is what everybody else does, so I should do it too. That's how it was conditioned as a kid. And this was like the perfect repeat family experience, but it wasn't my family, it was his family, and there was a request that I help, and I just had no energy. So I did a little bit, but I was just kind of laying in bed all day, and then the event itself was the next day, and she needed people to help serve. And again, I couldn't, and there was no way in hell I wanted to go to an event with a bunch of people. I mean, it's like I'm a 6'2" manifestor. That's just not my thing. And speaking that and honoring that, and, really, yeah, because like Thanksgiving's coming up right now, and there's this event, and there's nothing in me that wants to go, even if I did feel good. So speaking that truth, honoring that truth. Anyways, so there was a test, because this, Mars in Cancer, feeling super guilty, this open emotional center, like complete guilt and people pleasing and not wanting to upset people because it's overwhelming in my system. When I feel the backlash of anger and disappointment and all the things that people project on others. And that's exactly what his mother did. She was like, she was ridiculously pissed and immature about being pissed. And I just had to, I tried to apologize and have a conversation with her, and apparently she just didn't understand the whole concept of, being overwhelmed. Like I was saying, my nervous system is overwhelmed. Like I can't go to a party. And she just didn't understand that concept. And she was just like a wall when talk about it with me. And the rest of the trip was very awkward and uncomfortable because she was pissed. And so taking all that on while this Pluto opposition is happening, I was, of course, just burning in it, and just kind of breathing through it and getting through that time there to get the fuck out of there. But there was a victory in it, because at that point, I know what reality is. So I was pushing the edge of what I had seen and embodied, and seeing in meditation and the teachings, that every phenomenal thing, it's not real, it's just the program, and there's no chooser or doer, and that it's literally just a dream. So, and sitting burning in the seat of truth, just sitting there and receiving this uncomfort and this intensity of this projection of anger on me because I'm not behaving in a way that others want me to. But because I know it's cycling around for my freedom, at that point I was like, okay, I'm willing to do this. I'm not going to people please anymore. You just reach this point of like, I'm not going to fucking do this anymore. As a manifestor, that's where all this anger comes from. I'm not going to do things for other people anymore. Not out of guilt, not out of shame or should, or you're responsible, or that's what everyone else is doing, so you have to do it. To really break free as a manifestor, as a woman, it's no small feat, I would say. Needless to say, we haven't talked since then. I've kind of put his family on hold. I'm not reaching out to them. I don't reach out to anyone anyway, so I imagine there will be a resolution of that relationship at some point. Like, I'll go back, even though nothing in me says I want to go back. But what's being opened into is this this feeling that now this final intense transit is going to be passing. Jupiter is going to be sweeping through and then coming into the 7th house. Saturn is going to be coming into my 7th house. So it's going to be a time of these relationships that I've walked away from, coming back to repeat the same pattern with this deep, deep knowing of who I am and this deep feeling of what my intuition feels like, what's correct for me, and not apologizing for it. However, what I'm learning with my beloved is, after this protective layer of defense comes up for both of us, I'm not getting what I want, he's not getting what he wants, I'm feeling like I just need space, and he's feeling like I'm not including him, and I'm cutting him off, and I'm just trying to control the situation, right? So the kindest thing to do for us, it's not just about me, it's about us and our relationship baby, this relationship that's growing, that's its own entity. The kindest thing for me to do is to speak with him in the most clear way, details, and soften, slow down, come into my heart, and ask him to move in a way that supports both of us and supports my need to be alone, my need to recharge in my own aura. So yeah, learning how to communicate. 3rd house, Pluto, Mercury, Sun, 3rd house. 18, gate 18 is the incompetent. And that has been, oh my gosh. What comes up is like when I'm really feeling passionate about speaking something, this incredible feeling of fear arises in the nervous system, and I think that's because I've been killed. One astrologer told me I've been detongued. My tongue's been cut off because of speaking up in groups, speaking up my truth, and that feels correct. So there's like this terror, and I think also it's the terror of being ostracized from the tribe, of being cast out, of being all alone if I do speak my truth. 18, line 4 is the incompetent, and with my father, and the relationship with my father was very much this feeling of holy fuck. Something's definitely up between us, and I have no idea what it is. I have no idea how to talk about it, but all I feel is that he's really angry at me and doesn't. And there's this huge can of worms between us, and I don't know how to open that can of worms because I have no idea what it is. And there was this huge burden on my shoulders, thinking I was responsible, feeling responsible for his feelings, his anger, his upset, feeling like I did something wrong. Pluto in gate 48, Sun in gate 48, it's coming into our teenage years with this absolute insecurity, deep, deep, deep insecurity around who we are, not being connected to ourselves. I felt not connected to anything. And then carrying this responsibility through my teens, through my 20s, every time I would be in my father's presence, I would just feel this incredible pressure and guilt. And like this wall of incompetence between us to be able to open the conversation. Because where do we start? I still don't even know what happened to me as a baby. This indication right here with the Pluto and the Sun, I came in with trauma around sexual trauma. So whether it happened right away in this lifetime or I died with it happening and brought it into this lifetime, there's been something with a father that's happened that created this incredible sense of powerlessness. Mars in Cancer, complete shattering of the emotional body, complete devastation in early, I would say infancy. Something happened, some trauma that created a sense of complete powerlessness, abandonment from God, shattering of the emotional body, complete insecurity. So I abandoned myself very young. With, the soul had this intention to work on all this stuff. So this had to happen in the program. I didn't choose it. It just all happened. And, no one's responsible for making us feel a certain way. I took on this karma as a soul. That was a soul contract to resolve this skip step. And so it played out in such a huge way. In such a lifetime. I've been working on this stuff for my life since I was 14, and I started doing drugs and stuff because there was a sense of inadequacy. 48.6. So, my father has been incompetence, but now what this process has taken me into is to feel all that complete powerlessness in the repeat with my partner and others, with my teacher, feeling powerless, feeling incompetent to speak my truth, feeling that like my truth is going to cast me out of the tribe. But my heart has been cracked open. There's been a willingness to see that I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to be in a relationship. And to be willing to learn again. What does it mean to be in a relationship that's not playing power games, and where I'm honoring my authority and while honoring others. So beautiful. The second time, I just want to talk about the second time that Pluto opposed that Mars. Well, I was in India. I was at the foot of the Arunachala mountain with my teacher, with my partner, with the group, and there was all this guilt around not engaging with people, like all this pull deep inside to do this work, and then the work that was coming was this feeling like by me taking space and going inside. And it's so ridiculous because we're at a silent retreat, but what's playing around me and what my perceptions are seeing is everybody engaging and connecting, and me just not wanting that, but not being strong enough to honor that, or just like this process had to happen to bring up all this guilt around not doing what the family's doing. I'm just saying that, by not following, or what I'm saying is, and then there's all this incredible anger and rage and powerlessness coming up. That whole retreat, I was burning the entire time, pretty much. Just, my body was exhausted. Again, I felt powerless, but I didn't know exactly what it was about. I felt like I couldn't talk to my teacher at all, and that he was,
not, I don't know, just this projection that he didn't like me or something, or that he was criticizing or judging me. Yeah, there's been a lot of fear of judgment and feeling the father criticizing me, because that's what my father did. So my guru played that role. He's played that role, and even though, outside of satsang, there's this showering of unconditional love, and that's been the healing balm that's allowed me to heal the emotional body, is just receiving this pure unconditional love from somebody, a teacher who I look up to, who doesn't want anything from me. Not one thing. He doesn't want me to do anything other than just be myself and love me. And that incredible, to just have somebody come along and be completely, it's like the mind can't even grasp the immensity of love that comes forth when you meet a true guru. And at first, I'm like, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't trust it, like, I know that my teacher is going to ask, the feeling was he's going to ask for something. One of these times he's going to want something, because there's been lifetimes of sexual abuse and manipulation from gurus of wanting sex from me, and probably vice versa, me being the guru that abuses others. So as the knowingness and as the acceptance and realization that this love is true has come forth, in the safety of that, like, there's something deep that knows that the play has played itself out to have him play the role of the guru or the father that was judgmental, and even though his behaviors aren't that way, it's just the little child, and the perception is that even his facial expressions, what he's saying, is perceived as being something I'm doing wrong, that I'm not enough, that I'm not doing it right. All these little child thought patterns that have gotten stuck in the psyche from the skip steps and from this open emotional center and feeling responsible for everybody. And in a way, I have caused a lot of pain, I would say, in past lives. So it's like, okay, here's the judgment day, or the receiving of the karma of everything that's come before this lifetime. Here it is, and just sit with it and burn in it. And that was that whole trip. And then with my partner, just the whole dance that we're doing, where if I'm, tired and honoring my space, then he can get triggered in his ways. We're the perfect match, because what I'm doing is triggering him, and what, his behavior is triggering me. So that trip was huge. That was the second round, but I met it, and the mountain helped hold it, and it purged all this anger and all this rage and powerlessness. And Arjuna was doing his work too. So at the end of that, we had this most beautiful, loving time together. The universe, the dream morphed, and all of a sudden we were in these like incredible, at the end of this retreat in India, at this ashram that's like kind of dirty and the food's not that great. And I wanted to leave because I wanted to be back in the comfort of Western luxury. But he convinced me to stay, and then we ended up being at the most luxurious oasis at the foot of the mountain, by chance, really. And then it was just like this 2 weeks of reconnecting in another way, and in a softer way, and a more connection than we had before. So every time this is cycled, It's been incredibly intense for both of us. And, we've met our stuff in our own ways, done the work, and then each time we come together in a more sacred and a more connected, more unified way. We're on this path to complete the karma for each other and to remember our union, not just with each other, but our union with God, with everything. So it's gonna be intense. So that was the second time, and also this past couple months, let's see, so August, September, we were also really going through it as Pluto was opposing Mars, meeting the deep father wound. So Uranus conjunct Chiron here. I don't know where my Chiron is in my chart, but this timing, came in with this incredible 2 healers, shamanic hypnotherapy technique came in to help me really go in to this wounded child and to connect with this little one inside, this little fragmented child inside that never got the love that she needed, that never was held and received and heard and seen in a way that she never got that. So yeah, this last transit of Pluto opposite Mars has also been the Uranus conjunct Chiron transit, bringing in the healers, the insights, the Uranus conjunct Chiron, the insights, the deeper insights into what caused this skip step. What is it exactly that happened, and more revelations around childhood molestation and going back into the early life and past lives to see what the dynamics were, and then through the brilliant guidance of going back into that time and then reframing it for the little one, reframing it in the knowing that I have now, which is complete innocence. Like, she was completely innocent and she never did anything wrong. And, this Mars is like, wow, what did I do to upset everybody? Well, an infant, nobody chooses actually to do anything, but as an infant, you internalize your parents' behaviors as something's wrong with me. So this feeling something's completely wrong with me, with the whole setup, that's brought me to my knees again and again in complete collapse of where the fuck am I? What is this fucked up dream, and how can I get out of it? Shattered, just completely shattered by the early childhood trauma. And so how do you come back from such deep trauma like that, which we all carry? You got to go through it, you got to go into it, you got to feel it all and purge it, clear out that emotional center. And then the beauty of this one therapy is that you can learn to love, hold the space of unconditional love for yourself when these things come through and cycle around. It's not about changing what the other person is doing or having to resolve it outside of ourselves, because everything repeats for us to feel these original wounds and to parent ourselves back to wholeness, to love ourselves completely in everything that is coming up, and to reframe it, to know that we are pure innocent and that each time it comes around, it's there for our freedom. It's burning away these intense emotions that we couldn't feel, we couldn't handle as kids. So we internalized it. We created barriers around our hearts. We created personality traits of who I think I am. what I like, what I don't like. And we separated ourselves from ourself and from our world and from, just feeling completely separate. Like I'm alone in this world and I need to defend myself and protect myself and take care of myself, and no one else is gonna do it for me. When in reality, in truth, we're not the doers, we're not the choosers, we're not the ones creating the program. We are here to be the passengers, to be the witnesses of the program. And falling into the witness consciousness is what allows these things to cycle around again, to be felt on the primal, raw, instinctual level.
So this final round of Pluto opposite Mars, in addition to the Uranus moving through Taurus and conjuncting my natal Chiron, it's been super intense, and it's been a huge amount of deconditioning and growth, and the fallout or the result of going into all the pain. And in this piece of like really learning how to parent myself when the little one is calling out for attention through my body, and listening to her, listening to my intuition, listening deeply to what I need, what I want, and honoring that. So in this process, it's like the play will play itself to test us, to test our allegiance. Are we going to rest in the place of reality and knowing that everything is cycling for our freedom? Or are we going to get caught up in the story and trying to point our finger outside ourselves and try to, do everything we can to not feel our feelings? That's really the two options. And so now I know better. In this last round is really driven home that anytime there's something internal going on, a trigger, it's always about coming inside and feeling it, and going deep into the raw energy of it. So I just want to talk about a few things that have happened. So again, with my partner, coming into this place again of the fatigue in the body, bringing me to this place of like, I don't have energy for anyone or anything other than survival, and really having to honor that. And like, that's brought me inward more than anything. It's like you don't, deep fatigue and stuff. It's like you don't have anything, any juice left for interaction or taking care of anyone else. And so when this happens in my body and my partner is with me, he's a manifesting generator, and we have this like incredible karmic dance that we're doing where he's showing up to perfectly play out that which will trigger all of the feelings of powerlessness inside me, this Mars and this personality Earth of the control. And one thing I want to say about this is like, coming into our authority in human design, it's not about my will. It's actually coming into a alignment with a higher will. And when I feel that and I honor that, my partner tests me in that, and he says, "You're just trying to have control." And so he gets triggered in his ways because his mother controlled him. So when I'm following my authority, he's accusing me of trying to be in control. And then, I'm really seeing that open emotional center. It's like, that's the big thing, because that guilt inside is so deep of following my own heart, of following my path. It comes, almost every time. And one of the things that played was my mother had a 70th year birthday party, and she invited the whole family, and it was like this big to do. And I haven't been home in a couple years, just because I've been deep in this process. And so that was the perfect play to bring up, first of all, it wasn't true for me to go. And there was no way in how my body could handle that level. My nervous system could handle that level of interaction with at a party. Like, it was just a huge no. And so I had to tell her, and it's like, it broke my heart to tell her, but it was my truth. And so it came from a place of like really like loving myself and knowing that this process has a wisdom of itself, and that, by me honoring myself, it's the highest service for everybody. And yet I got this backlash of, you're selfish. This is a huge accusation, a projection on me in this process. And everyone who's in human design probably gets this, like, you're being selfish, from multiple family members. So Cinda, the woman I was staying with, who also does shamanic hypnotherapy, took me into this little one, and man, I purged this guilt. And I saw, my whole family was conditioned, and everyone wasn't aligned with their own truth. And being an empath, and I learned about narcissist and empath behaviors, where the narcissist turns everything around on you to make you feel bad. So I've been in this dynamic with my family and with other relationships where following my truth creates a lot of turmoil, a lot of conflict, and that open emotional center wants to avoid conflict because the energy of it is so intense, and it literally like shakes my whole nervous system, where I feel fragile when I'm confronting somebody. So I went into that guilt and, stood my ground. Like, I was in this retreat for 3 weeks doing this deep work, and the play itself. So I had these incredible guides, Randy and Cinda, who both do this shamanic hypnotherapy work, and also, just this clarity that Cinda had of nothing is outside of ourselves. So anything that's triggering us is always an opportunity for us to meet something old inside, because nothing that comes up that feels bad is new. It's all repetitive. It's all cycling around. That's the wheel of samsara that we're here to be free from. And so if we keep pointing outside of ourselves and saying that person did this and they're the ones that need to change, then we're never actually receiving the gift of it. So the second thing that happened was I was house sitting at somebody's house with Arjuna, and things were just like getting so tense. Like the whole dynamics with my father was playing out in red neon lights. This is what Pluto will bring, is like these karmic complexes that play out in like fireworks for us. So, he was playing out, I don't want to say too much. I mean, it was all perfect. It's like the dream was playing itself out to feel this like deep feeling I had with my father. Like, I don't like you. I don't want to be around you. I feel separate from you. I hate you. And all those feelings were coming up, and he was feeling like I was trying to control him. And it was this dynamics of me following my truth and honoring my, this deep process that I've been in, and it's being constantly tested and having this person play out this dynamic of feeling guilty around following my path. It's not easy to be a manifestor, a woman manifestor. It's not easy to be yourself. It's not easy to align with yourself. It takes an incredible amount of force to, break us free from this conditioning of doing what everybody else wants us to do. And so we're at this house, we're house sitting, and we're going through it. And then in leaving the place, so the cat was getting out at night. We weren't sleeping, so we were letting this cat get out at night because he was crying, and we were like, we gotta sleep. So, and then I didn't get the cat food when she came back. There was only one can of cat food, and she came home with something like this hole in her windshield in her car, and we have no idea how this happened. So she comes home from a long trip, and she's exhausted, and she comes home and finds, a not so ideal situation, and feels like she was disrespected and dishonored, and we didn't appreciate the house, and it was a nice house. But from my perspective, what happened was that I was exhausted. My partner had left already because we were like, we need to get the fuck away from each other and just have our space. And I was exhausted and I couldn't do very much. So I did what I could. I cleaned it up. It was fine. Yeah, I did my best. So anyways, what happened is she ended up projecting that all this stuff that she felt coming home was because of something I did, that we did. And what the clarity that came from this dynamic was like, first of all, she came at me with this projection, and my whole system could feel the like she wanted me to apologize, and she wanted something from me, and everything in me was saying no. And yet, I did apologize. It was like, okay, and yet she's projecting this stuff on me that I made her feel unappreciated, dishonored, and blah blah blah, when we're in this work together with the same teacher. And the teaching is of reality is that there's nothing outside of ourselves. There's no doer, there's no chooser. Everything playing that's bringing stuff up is work for us. And so she hadn't done that work, and it brought up this huge piece for me of, well, it's the narcissist empath dynamic of someone turning things around to make me feel like I did something wrong. Whew. It's a big one that was like seen through, and I'm just like, So Cinda was like, no, you did nothing wrong, and she's not doing her work. And we went in, and there was just, I felt this incredible guilt and this repeat of doing something wrong. And I wrote a letter to her saying, I did my work around this, and thank you for the gift of offering this piece. And I really, I invited her to do her work around what she was feeling about it. And again, she came back at me with this projection of like, sweetie, you don't really know any better, and I've done this work, and you're playing an old piece of something I used, somebody I used to be who reacts. And so there's like this whole drama around it. And then we had an interaction. I confronted her. In this confrontation, everything, all this powerlessness, it was like this fragility, like this nervous system, like, oh my God, I'm speaking my truth and everything's gonna crumble. I felt like it was over. I felt like, the truth was either there is no doer or there is. Either there's a chooser or there isn't. And in my, in the truth is like, I didn't choose to leave her house in a certain way to make her feel this certain way. There was no one back there making choices. It was the program playing this scenario out for both of us. And for me to feel this, whoa, huge piece. So the way the play plays out these repetitive things, it's like it gets kinder. So it's like, she's not a villain. Like, she's a loving, really beautiful person who's done tons of work. And I was putting her on a pedestal, actually, because she's come through tons of trauma herself. And I had projected on her that she was like, already free. And that was a huge wake up. So after this dynamic that we had in the person, and I was telling her, my truth, but then I caved and started crying because it was so intense. It was bringing up this really, really, really old piece, and I couldn't even tell exactly what it was, but she was like kind of condescending, I would say, and like the narcissist is very good at turning things around to make you feel less than and bad, and that's pretty much what played out. So I immediately drove home and was like shaking, and I was like, I don't know what just happened. And my friend Cinda was right there, ready to take me in, because there was like stomach pain, and I never get stomach pain really. So like there was this feeling of, all this adrenaline, that was the physiology of it probably causing this stomach pain. We went in to my innocence. We went in. Anyway, so at first I didn't even know what I was feeling, but it went into my second and third chakra and just feeling powerlessness. And we asked, it was like this very slow, patient process of asking my little one, because now I've done this work enough, so I have contact with this psyche, this part of my psyche, that the unconscious part that never got a chance to speak up, and that she's the one that's, when everything's triggered and the body's tired, it's like that's the little one trying to get my attention, to honor myself, to slow down and listen. So we went in. So finally we started asking, and finally it was revealed that there was a molestation, repeated molestation at 4 years old. And that's what one of the original wounds of powerlessness came from. So this is just such a perfect example of how, when we're on the path of awakening and we want to decondition and be free, how to play, as we fall into the love that we are more, and we start getting rooted in this place of knowing that everything is coming for our freedom and nothing can touch us in reality. We get anchored as the burning cycles come. We can expand more into who we are, and then that anchors us even deeper for more deep stuff to come. It's an unraveling process. It takes us back through our childhood, back to the original wounds, back to the past life wounds. And so this was like a very early trauma that happened that caused all this powerlessness. For the next 4 days, I was like laid out in bed and felt like I was dying because the trauma was playing through the nervous system. So incredible. And so yeah, it was hard, and like I'm dying, and yet I know by now that this is all playing, so I can know that I am the love from where everything comes. And this connection to myself grows stronger every time. Pluto, man, deep, deep powerlessness. We have to go into the deep powerlessness to reveal our true power, that nothing can touch us in reality. So so that was the big example for this last Pluto transit opposite Mars. And it's like I'm just now stepping into what this gate 21 line 6 is. Oh man, and really feeling the I have to honor it, because even this morning, I'm working on this video. My partner comes into the room and I speak my truth. Honey, I really want to focus on this. It's like this passion coming through. I want to share. And I can feel that he's triggered. Like I can feel his emotional wave. He's not emotionally defined, but I can feel that he's triggered. So he has shut he has felt shut down from me speaking my truth. And I just have to receive that. Like, I'm not responsible for how he responds to my truth, me speaking my truth. It wasn't like I was, I'm not coming from a place of like, get the fuck away from me, I'm a manifestor, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, sweetie, this is my heart. I'm speaking from my heart. I have that 45-21, like, heart energy. This is what's coming through. This is my truth. This is what I want to follow right now. And I need my space. And man, everything, all this stuff in my environment is going to keep testing that. Like that design personality earth is where we're tested the most. So can I follow my truth? And it's not my truth. That's the beauty of it. It's like the authority is the divine will. So Mars in the 12th house, following thy will, being connected with the mother that's moving everything. And so there's no apologies. There's no feeling guilty. When we're in alignment with truth, people are going to get upset. Even our loved ones. And this is playing out this way again. So I can feel this, and then so he can feel whatever it's bringing up for him. And I know now that when we get through this, we'll feel even more connected because it's bringing him in more connection with himself and the love that he is. When we don't need anything outside of ourselves, that's when we're free. When we know that we're the love, that we have, we are what we are looking for, and we come into that more, that's freedom. Okay, I'm going to end this. This video is so long, but yeah, it's just kind of like this culmination of this huge process I've been in, and wow, such beauty, such wisdom. This journey is so worth it to align with our truth and our passion, and to feel alive, and not like we don't have to fear anything. It's not easy, but it's worth it. So much love to you on your journey home, and I will see you in the next video.